Welcome to the Release Your Blocks podcast. I am your host, Victoria Bond. I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I help teach others to show up to their potency so they can fulfill their mission here on earth. I am so glad you are here. And if you are interested in becoming a medium, if you're interested in becoming a life coach, or if you're interested in shifting your life from the 3D to live more in the 5D reality, then check me out, book a clarity call, and let's get chatting. Hello, everybody. I'm Victoria Bond, and I have the beautiful Carly here. Welcome, Carly. I'm so excited that you're here for this interview and this.
Me too. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited for this too. It's always amazing to find another person who is as into human design as I am, and of course, another projector as well. So it's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah. So you are a business coach. And like you were just saying before, you've done psychology, you've learnt human design. So you bring all these different things in when you are coaching your one-to-one clients and all the free content and stuff like that you do as well. So we're quite similar because I do very similar stuff as well, but human design is quite new to me. So I've only really delved into it in the last 6 months, and I'm currently learning it. But, you've been doing this for quite a while now. So you incorporate that into all of your coaching, which is incredible.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. It's been a real eye-opener. And for someone who's come from a very scientific background, I really struggled with human design at the start. I actually really resisted it. But I kept feeling this pull back to it. And as I delved into it, realized how much of it is actually science, and couldn't resist it. And now it's just a part of everything that I do. And I actually couldn't imagine life without it because it has changed so much for me personally, and of course for clients as well.
I'm exactly the same because, like you said at the beginning, we're both projectors, so we're very similar, and we're going to really dive deep into the whole deconditioning today because I think a lot of people don't understand that we are all here with a different human blueprint to create life differently. And I want to hear a bit about like when you found out, because I know when I found out I was a projector, I went to bed crying that night because I realized that I wasn't as fucked up as I thought I was. I realized that, holy moly, I knew I was different. I knew I couldn't keep up in some areas, but I also knew that I was psychic and I didn't understand exactly. So I actually went to bed crying, realizing that I had been trying to function as another human design as rather as me. So how did that come about for you, and how did that feel when you realized that you were actually a projector in the human design?
Oh my God, great question. So I discovered human design. I was on a photo shoot in Bali. Of course, Bali. Everything happens in Bali. It's just the most magical place. And my photographer, who's also a really good friend of mine, at the end of the shoot, she said to me, "Hey, what's your human design?" And I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. What is this thing?" So she, of course, looked up my chart for me. And she, also a projector, said to me, "Oh my God, I knew you were a projector. Oh my God, I knew it." And I, of course, didn't know what that means. So she kind of looked at my chart, unpacked it a little bit for me right then and there. And then I was like, I think anybody who's discovered human design will know the feeling of like, oh, that's interesting. I want to go and find out more about it. And I think projectors are especially like this. We tend to go down the rabbit hole of human design and like, oh my God, I need to know more about it. So back when I was back at the villa in Bali that night, I, went on and did some research about it. What does it mean to be a projector? Of course, got all the information that's online. I actually felt a little bit more confused. And so I kind of retreated from it a little bit. And it wasn't until a couple months later, January 2020, that I actually started getting drawn back to it again and did a reading with someone. That's what it was, and found out more about what it actually means to be a projector. And at that point, so similar to you, I just felt so like validated, like, holy moly, I have been trying to live my life as this other person, as a generator, trying to do all of the things, But when I found out, especially the little piece about like your power is in helping guide energy, shift energy, help people see where their genius zones are and work more in their genius zones, I was like, oh my God, that's what I was born to do. That is who I am, like at my core. And so I think that was then when I fell down the rabbit hole even more. And I was like, okay, now I need to know everything. So then it became a real experiment for me, as it is supposed to be. Like, okay, how can I live more of my design? And then I started playing with it with my clients. And then, yeah, I did my reader training course, and it's been a part of my business and my life ever since.
I love it. And the funny thing is, mine was similar, because it was about 6 months beforehand. Someone said, "Hey, check out what your human design is." And I'm a medium. I'm an intuitive. So for me, I feel energy. Sometimes I don't really see people. I kind of see them. I don't see physically. I miss things. There could be a crane outside my house, and sometimes I won't even see it. Like, it's crazy. People are like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just don't. I can't hear lyrics of songs." Anyway, so what happened with me was someone asked me to do that. I did that. I was like, I don't know what that means. I actually flipped because I love sharing. I'm a connector. I love sharing. I want everyone to know the truth about everything. So I've always been this way ever since I was a little girl. And I was flicking it through, people going, "Go check out this, go check out this." And they go, "What is this?" And I go, "I don't know. I'm just sending you the link." And then it wasn't until 6 months later that, because obviously I knew I needed to share it, but I didn't know what it was. So this is actually just coming to me right now. It's actually like so embarrassing. Like, what was I thinking? And then 6 months later, then it was like I was ready. So it's like I wasn't ready until I was ready. Just like you, you're like, and I'm finding I'm bringing it into all of my client stuff. It's like I can't not. It's just like I can't not talk about spirit, because spirit is very clear to me. It's my niche. And now I'm noticing that in my miraculous mediumship and my relationship blocks with my one-to-one clients, I'm always coming back to the human design. And just to give you guys, if you are listening to this on the podcast and you're kind of like, what are they talking about? There is essentially 5 designs. So there's projector, generator, mani-gen, reflector, and manifestor. And they're basically like different, would you say it's like a different blueprint for the different kind of human suit?
Yeah, so they're referred to as energy types.
That's it.
Yeah, so I mean, every person on the earth has a different blueprint, because your blueprint is made up of so many other things other than just your type, which is, it's very complicated. But yeah, energy types are the 5 main things that, it's one of the first things that you look at in human design, because that gives you what your strategy is, and that's how you really are supposed to respond to the world and how the world will respond best to you. So yeah, really, really crucial piece of it.
Yeah. So and like from what I've learned, because I know quite a lot about, like I say, get mixed up with words and stuff sometimes, but and being dyslexic, I honestly feel like that's a part of my gift, because I see energy, so not so much words. So knowing your energy type, like when we're saying we're a projector, this can change everything. And for me, what has changed knowing I'm a projector is that I know that I don't have as much energy to burn, that long burn, like the world has been conditioned to be as a generator. Therefore, like, I message you and Donna and all these other people that are like, we call them mermaids, because I'm like, I'm having a mermaid bath. I'm going to relax right now. And people are just like, yeah, me too. And that's how we make money. Yeah. We make money
by relaxing.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to talk about deconditioning.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone, because of what we were saying before, everyone's got their own blueprint. We all are subject and have been subject to our own very specific flavor of conditioning. And it's the beauty, I think, in human design is, one of it, it's great to know what your design is, but the second part is the journey that you're then going to go on, figuring out where you've been conditioned, where you've been open to thinking that you have to live life a different way to what's normal and natural to you, and how that has really led you down the wrong pathways. And then, of course, learning to how's best for me to respond to the world, how's best for me to show up. And often that can be quite scary, because it is different to what we've been taught. So especially for projectors, our strategy, as you know, is to be invited into things, which is so converse from what we've been taught about the world, which is like, go out and grab what you want, initiate, do the thing, just go and take action. That's actually not correct for us specifically. And if anyone knows human design, if you're a manifestor, which is only about 8% of the world, that's the only people in the world where initiating and going out and grabbing life and bringing it into you is actually appropriate. So yeah, we've all got conditioning in different areas, and that I think is the beauty of figuring out human design and going through that pathway. It's very, very cool.
I think it's really important as well is to know when you're deconditioning to give yourself some grace. Like you said, it's an experience and it's an experiment, you actually said. So I know for me, it's only been 6 months, and I've had like my first kind of 6-figure year within my very young kind of business, because of course I'm constantly pivoting and changing and bringing in those niches, because these are not meant to be like the manifestors, which are like cool, or the managers, or even the generators. The generators, of course, they're pretty good at knowing their structures and stuff. But it's really interesting to calibrate your life and constantly try to recalibrate while you're deconditioning and reconditioning. And it's like, this is why I'm saying, everyone requires to give themselves some grace, because I heard somewhere from another human design reader that it takes around about 7 years or something to reprogram.
Yeah, it can do. Yeah, it can take a very, very long time to reprogram and decondition it. It's totally a journey. Yeah.
Such as life, I suppose.
Such as life. Life, absolutely. And as you were talking then, I just like something really, clicked for me, and I'm sure it's clicked for a particular reason. So I'll share if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Is that, when you are in this deconditioning process, it's pivot, because you're learning so much all the time. But if we were to, the conditioning that a lot of us have been taught to do is like, be consistent, be disciplined, stay on the one path, do the one thing, like, make sure you don't veer off your path, don't get distracted. And if we were to live by that, then we're actually ignoring what's magical to us in that pathway of deconditioning. So that's just another place where we have to look at, where does that idea come from about us having to be consistent or us having to be disciplined? Because actually, whether or not you like consistency or discipline is actually in our charts as well, which you'll probably know. And it is right for some people to be consistent, and it is right for some people to be disciplined, but it's not right for others to be. And so there's all these different places where we need to just bring so much awareness to, why am I thinking that I have to do this a particular way? Look at my chart, what feels natural to me, and then experiment with, because it is such an experiment, doing it in the way that I feel like is going to be right for me, and kind of going against what we've been taught, which can be so, so scary. And it is a real leap of faith often, because you're going against decades of learning. I have to do it this way. I have to do it that way. If I don't do it that way, I won't be successful. So it can be really, really scary at some points.
Yeah, and it can be really scary and confusing, because like, this is what we both do with our clients. Especially being business coaches as well. I don't call myself a business coach, but I certainly help practitioners and holistic practitioners launch their businesses and get to their 10K months type of thing. But the thing is, like, it's the push. It's the consistency. It's all these different flows. But we have to test. And even though I teach consistency and showing up, because I think it's really important to show up in whatever way, I'm always adding in how does this feel for you? And let's test to see what works. And you have been conditioned to look at the external to see what's going to make them happy. What do my clients want? And I keep saying to my clients, it doesn't matter what your clients want, what lights you up and bring those clients into you. So you have to go against what you were taught about being the people pleaser and working hard for your money, and go, hang on. What would happen if I was being a selfish bitch? And it's so funny. I actually have this saying, and I say, are you willing to be the demon bitch from hell? Because I do a lot of consciousness work, and people go, no. And I go, okay, so we're going to work together. And then I say to them about a couple after my program or whatever, are you willing to be the demon bitch from hell? And they go, yes.
Yeah.
It's about being all energies and allowing yourself to choose what energy you desire to be.
Yeah. That's it. Having no judgment about if that's how you want to show up right now, then that is actually what's right for you. And, you know, I think this is something that that we can really learn from generators. So for those of you who are listening who don't necessarily know about generators are here to do what lights them up, essentially. Like, they respond with their gut. And so they'll get a gut pull towards particular things when things are right for them to do, and they will get a gut no, like a contraction when something is not right for them. So they are supposed to do what lights them up. That is their job. That is their job, to just follow what they love. But one of the biggest pieces of conditioning that they come up against is, but I have to do what other people want me to do. I have to do it the way that they want me to do it. I have to give of myself in a way that I don't want to. And I think there's something really cool that we can all, regardless of our energy type, learn from that, is that it's actually safe to follow what you want to do. Because if it's a true desire, if that desire is actually truly there from you, from the divine, from the universe, it's been placed in your pathway, and your response to it is a yes, I want to do that, then how can that be wrong? How could that possibly be wrong? It's got to be the right next step for you. And this is something I've been playing with clients recently, is like this whole new level of trust of like, if you desire it, it's safe to go after it. And I love that way of living your life, because it's like, well, there's no judgment, there's no wrong, there's no will it lead me down the right path, because you're not to know what the right path is for you. All you need to do is keep trusting that the next thing that you desire will be there. But we have so much judgment about doing it the way that we want to, or having the goal that we really want. Like, the thing that I'm working a lot with clients a lot at the moment is like, set the bigger goal that you actually want. Stop playing smaller because you think that that's what the next right step is. Set the thing that you actually want and go after it unapologetically, and it will come. But you have to drop the judgment, because that's often what holds ourselves back.
It's self-talk. I've actually got a few generators, my husband being one, which is really interesting with our work dynamics, because I'm clearly very different. And he's like, can we do some work? And I'm like, yeah, let's go to the beach. It's like, oh my God. And then it wasn't until I actually made 7K when I was lying on the beach, sitting on the beach, he went, I think this stuff is real. And I'm like, told you. I went and spent $1,000 shopping and went to the beach, and then like made 7K that day. So he was like, this is insane. But what I wanted to get to was, I've got a couple of clients that are generators, and I feel like when I'm diving into their auras, that they beat themselves up, that they go into judgment, and they have a lot of the self-talk of you're not good enough, you can't do it. And I try to get them out of their heads to go, but what is it that you want? Because they always say, what is it that people want from me? And I go, I don't care. What is it? Like, we can dig into their pain points and their pleasure points. Of course, that stuff is psychology when it comes to trying to pull people in that you want to help so much. But the generators, and in my experience, I have a lot of many gens around me and projectors. But the few generators that I do have, that I do feel really close to, they do have this self-talk, and they do get really upset and beat themselves up. So when deconditioning as a generator, what is the things that because it's one thing saying do this and do this and do this, but how do we like talk to them to really, and this goes for people who are listening who have got children as generators and partners as generators and workmates or colleagues, whatever. But what would you say to that?
About knowing what they want, do you mean?
Knowing how that they can decondition, so then they can actually strive for their future goals and believe they're going to have them, instead of beating themselves up. I know that's a very open question.
I think it's really cool. And I think I'll answer this probably through a psychology behavioral lens at the same time. And that is that conditioning is a result of us learning through reinforcement or punishment that there is a consequence to a particular action that we make, right? So we learn to be a particular way throughout our childhood, throughout our lives, based on how other people respond to us. And that's true of everyone, no matter which energy type you are. That's just behavioral science. So when we're going about deconditioning, we can't just do it in our minds. And I think this is a huge mistake that the coaching industry has fallen into, is like, just work with the mind. It's great, fabulous, but you have to integrate it. You have to actually take the action and learn. You have to retrain yourself to learn that that action is actually safe, it's fine, it feels good. We need to give ourselves an opportunity to, what we would say is, contact the reinforcement in the real world. So if you are no matter which type you are, if you're worried about doing things a different way, you've got to get yourself to a point where you can actually just take the action, and either not care as much about what other people think, which is, I understand that's a big thing to go through, people pleasing. We have to really like work a lot on that to make sure that we're not, placing our locus of control outside of us. But we have to learn that it's actually safe for us to behave in a particular way, because that's the way that we want to create, that's the way we want to behave. And also the other part of it is learning that, especially as gens or man gens who are there to respond with their gut, is that if something is can I swear on this?
Yeah.
If something is like a fuck yeah for you, because that's, I think, the best way to describe it. If something is like a fuck yes, I have to do that, then that is safe for you. But you can only learn that that is safe by actually taking the action and realizing that it's safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's actioning. Yeah,
actioning. Yeah, it's actioning.
And it's really important, and that's why it's so funny, because I'm always teaching about shifting consciousness and using tools and tapping into spirit, all these different things. But I end up making all these workbooks, because I'm like, I have to make these workbooks, and they have to go through it. And then I realize in my own deconditioning process, because I've been deconditioning for a good 5 years since I had a breakdown, and spirit came through, and basically I up-leveled massively, and it hurt really bad. And but then this piece of puzzle, the human design puzzle, came in, and I was like, that is the piece I've been missing, which is actually how to structure my life. I spent hours and hours and hours with my coach putting my structures into my day, but it never felt right. I probably spent 6 hours with her. Never felt right. And now I just go, how am I feeling today? Where am I in my cycle? What's the moon doing? I'm going to relax. But anyway, going back to that, I realized in my own deconditioning process, I had to go through the actionable steps, which wasn't just with my mind, wasn't even just the action. It was going through the process of, what am I feeling? What am I ready to let go of? Who do I require to forgive? And I actually now go through a process. I release with my emotions. I release with the deconditioning. I see the codes of human behavior, all that type of stuff. And then I do a little burning ceremony. I do a little prayer. I go have a little bath. And I document it all down. And with my projector vibes, this is for all the projectors out there, I go pop that into a mini program or whatever, and I give it to my paid group and go, I just went and did this. I cried for 2 hours, guys. Go do this. So I think I listened to, it was one of your posts, and you said about being authentic and going through the processes. It doesn't matter how high level coach you are. You could be $1 million, billionaire coach. You have to always recalibrate, test things out, decondition and recondition.
Yep. That's it. You've got to be walking your talk. Otherwise, people can feel that lack of integrity in what you're doing. We have to go first.
So for all the generator coaches out there, all the generators that are struggling with having to stick to the A to Z, I always say that generators go A to Z. Many and some generators don't mesh with me like that, because I am very, I'm a 3-5, and that which there's a personality profile in the human design as well. I'm a 3-5, so I'm messy. Like I'm actually messy. I'm messy learning. I'm all over the place, and people they're coming along for the ride. And sometimes the generators are like, no, I don't see the A to Z. And I go, nah, honey, because I'm right down at the E, and then we're going to go to the G, and then we're going to go up to the A again, and then we're going to go down to the X. So it's like, be willing to be messy and to break it up a little bit, eh?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's, like I said before, we've all got things to learn from other people who have different blueprints to us. And that's, I think, one of the really cool things about the 3-line. Like you said, you're a 3-5, and that 3-line is all about being in it and learning by experience. And that's so cool. And I think because of the way that human design works, there's a lot of people who have that 3-line for the first 30 years of their life. So for a lot of us, at just coming out of that 30, like age 30, we're realizing, oh my God, I've gone through so much stuff. Like, because I'm a 6'2", which means for the first 30 years of my life, I had that 3 line, and it was all about learning, experimenting, making the mistakes, living it. And now I'm in the second 30 years of my life, which is all about like retreating a little bit and making sense of it and finding the codes and really working on like my way of doing things. So yeah, I mean, we've all got really cool things to learn from everyone else in human design. But the most important thing is that we find what works for us. And that's the really cool thing that I love about human design, is that it's like it gives you a permission slip to be you. It's like, this is how you're supposed to be, which might feel a bit scary at the time because you've been taught that's not how you're supposed to be, but it's safe to be that person. You can go and be that person and like enjoy that process. And that's what I love about it.
And play. Like today after this, I'm because it's a full moon, I'm going to jump on my groups and do a little bit of a live, but I know that I've overdone it a little bit this week. And you know, it makes me want to cry with emotion, even though I don't have my own emotional authority. But it makes me want to cry because I'm just like, oh my goodness, you know, I need to come back to me. So it means I'm going to go to the beach and have another bath and go see a friend and go get some Reiki done. So, you know, guys, if you still don't know a lot about human design, you know, we have these, you know, emotional authority. So you're either a non-emotional authority or you're emotional authority. There's channels and there's gates and there's basically the different energy, the meridians, but it's kind of a little bit of a different, it's a little bit different to the 7 system, and you can have them as an open or closed. So there's so much information that you can go learn those basics of the human design. Like Carly said, it's actually really intricate, but it's that jumping in that rabbit hole, like you said. And once you go down it, you get fascinated and you want to keep doing it. So what I want to ask you as well is something, because I'm so new to this, is with relationships, right? So the 5 different energy types have got 5, there's different strategies and there's non-self themes. So I know if I feel bitter, and I'm sure you're the same being a projector, if I start feeling bitter and frustrated, like I'm really bitter, like, oh, that person can't hear me. Yeah. If I answer my phone on a Sunday and I wasn't prepared for it, and it's somebody asking something from me on my Sunday when I've decided that I'm not looking at my phone, I'm bitter at myself. I'm bitter at the person for asking me for something. So when it comes to relationships and this whole deconditioning to recondition, what is the best way to for relationships? Because I don't know about you, but with me, when people come up to work in my relational blocks or my magnificent mediumship, they have these gigantic quantum leaps. I do DNA activations. I do light language, all this stuff. They shift so hard and fast that sometimes they feel a disconnect with those around them. So how do we, even with me and my husband, he knows his stuff, I know my stuff, but we're still trying to calibrate with how we fit in, because it's like we're 2 different beings. Well, we are, but we're from different planets. You know what I mean?
Totally. Okay, so this is a great question, and I'll answer this probably through the lens of like my own personal relationship. So my husband he's not against human design. He's just not into it. Like that's just not his thing. He's a manifestor.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. He's a 2/4 splenic manifestor, and I'm a 6/2 emotional projector. And so, and I think this applies to whether or not you're into human design, doesn't matter. But as one person in the relationship who is into personal development and the other person who's not really against it, but is just not in the world, as the person who's in the personal development world, you have to be very clear on knowing what you need from that person and getting really good at explaining that and asking for that, and not assuming that they are going to mind read you or be on the same page as you. And the cool thing about throwing human design in the mix is if you understand what their type is, what their strategy, what their authority, what like the way that they're going to be most helpful, is that you can actually help shape them to do that. So my husband has no idea that I do this, but I've like been helping him work and to be more of a manifester. And part of that has been, he would used to come to me and ask me for like, not like permission, but like, oh, I've got this idea that I want to go and do this thing. Do you think I should? Or like, do you think that would be okay? And I would, without knowing it back then, I used to just be like, yeah, babe, go and do whatever you want. Like, I don't care. Like, you just go and do it. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually helping him. He was living his design then. He was coming to inform me that he was going to do something, which is a manifesting strategy. Yeah.
Awesome for a manifestor to actually inform you.
Totally. But I have had to kind of shift the way I respond to him now. And I'm not like discounting the fact that he's asking or telling me. I'm like, yeah, like go and do it. That sounds great. So it's not like permission giving. It's like, thanks for informing me and go and do it. So when you do have the understanding about how your better half or someone in your life is, you know, supposed to interact with the world more efficiently based on human design, you can help bring that out in them by creating the conditions to help them see that that's okay, rather than perpetuating the conditioning that they've always been a part of, if that makes sense. And so of course you can't expect them to mind read and know what you need and know what's going to be best for you, but you can train them. And this is what I think in general we need to get a lot better at, is just asking for what we need and knowing that what we need is actually okay. And that in a relationship, being able to ask for what we need and have our needs being met is such a crucial part. So I think there's those two parts to it, is being asked for what you need and knowing how they're going to best interact, so that you can kind of perpetuate those ideas and help them with their deconditioning without actually having to go into it with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, I just want to add in there, is making sure you do you first.
Totally.
So this is all like what you've said is perfect for if you've already done you a little bit. Okay, yeah, we're going to always do us.
Totally.
But always do you. So before, when I was a little bit frustrated, like the story I was telling you before we started talking, I was a little bit frustrated. I was standing there naked in the bathroom doing my makeup. My husband comes along. He's responding to something, because that's his, strategy, to something I said. And I was not willing. I did not give him that invitation. I was not like, and I was just said, no, what are you doing? Stop. I don't mind being naked at all, but I'm standing here naked. The last thing I want to do is talk about a client and how to respond to them. Get out. And I locked the door, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to help and respond, because he's a worker bee. And so are the managers, but I'm not. I'm a guide, and I will come back to that, and I will be the CEO, but it knocked me, and it took me straight into, oh no, what have I done? I've got to respond. No, because that's me being my non-self. So come into ourselves and be all of ourselves, and then help them. And one thing that I did, we do this stuff unconsciously as well, because we are naturally these energy types. So one thing I did with my husband, and I didn't recognize it actually, and he said to me in the car yesterday, you have helped me, you've life coached me, because I'm a life coach. You've helped me be all of what I am, because, like, not taking credit for doing that, but I was doing that, like you said, he would say, I want to do this, and I go do it. You can do whatever you want to do. You just have to basically have the balls to do it and take that step and have that faith that the universe, God, the divine source is all going to back you. And now, because of that, and he started seeing what I was implementing, how I was actually aligning to my design, he now works for me in my business and doesn't go to an hourly paid job.
Awesome.
He said, why would I do that when you can make so much money by helping so many people, and I am the other half? I'm shit at tech. He's amazing. He does all my funnels. He does all my emails. Not my emails, my website. He does all of these things. And the beautiful thing about that is, if you can know how that human code works as well, what do you require from them, and what do they require from you?
That's it.
And I know that I can't remember what my husband is, but he loves the touch. He loves touch and being in a community. And I love to be alone and having baths. And if you can respect the other person, and what I see time and time again, even not in the personal development world and people that I don't work with, like friends and all that type of stuff, is people have expectations of their partners. Yeah. And sometimes they are unrealistic. Sometimes it's like, you sign that piece of paper, so you have to make me happy. Yeah. And that's not real. No. None of that is real. We're here to be within ourselves and share the experience with somebody because we adore them, and because when you put these two blueprints together, you kind of like, you can help each other. That's and it. Always recalibrating. Somewhere like they got it wrong with Cinderella, and and they lived happily ever after. They didn't like actually go into that next part of okay, so the prince and Cinderella need to calibrate because she's been a little slave girl and he's a spoiled little shit. So let's put them together so then they can create their own kind of life and be in harmony. And I wish they did that next level.
Well, that's part of our conditioning, isn't it? The media and what we watch, what we see on TV, what we hear, what we read about, it's all part of our conditioning. And that's it. Like, we're taught that the other person will make us happy, but actually you cannot expect someone else to make you happy if you do not know how to make yourself happy.
It's actually impossible. And I think there's this strong polarity with this kind of coming into aligning to your design and also going to the doctor for depression. Now, I'm no psychologist or anything like that, but what I have experienced from myself is when I was saying to my husband, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. There was a lot of entities and stuff going on too, but and he was getting frustrated and angry because he's working all day long. He's coming home and helping me with the kids. I'm wanting to die, and he's just like angry because he's like, and then he's like, but I'm depressed. And we were this one big shit show. This was only like 5 years ago, and now we sit there and we smile at each other in the middle of the day and go, should we take the kids to the movies today? Maybe we should go to the pools. Oh, let's have movie night. And we're so happy. And it's been 20 years that we've been together, 20 years. And, for anyone who's having this stuff going on in their relationships and that they're wanting to do the self-development and aligning to their design, but they're afraid of leaving, their husband behind, you and I both are doing this, and our husbands aren't like, oh yeah, HD, it's this, it's this, it's this. They're doing them, we're doing us, and we do it in this harmony because we know ourselves what we require.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I just think that's so powerful because it is a real fear that a lot of people have. Like, what if I outgrow my partner? And I did have that thought a few years ago. Like, what if he doesn't want to come along for the ride, but they do? Because of course they do. Like, at their soul level, of course they want to step into their highest possible self. Of course they do. But we just have to find a way to bring the barriers down. And if we're going about it in the way that's like, you have to do it this way, or you have to do it that way, or blah, 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 you're doing it wrong, you criticize, like that's not going to get anyone anywhere. Like, you think about like how you get children to do stuff that they don't want to do, right? You don't tell them that they have to do it. You help them to see why they want to do it and why it's important for them. And you can do that very, very gently in relationships. It doesn't have to happen like this. And I think that's the other thing to remember is that, like, you're saying that happened 5 years ago. Nothing changes overnight. Like, and, the deconditioning process, wherever you look, there's going to be different information about this. But like you said, sometimes it takes 7 years, some, can take longer, depends on how well you're actually living that experiment. And
if you dive straight into it, kind of like what we did, like, I mean, we had that little like, let's sit on this, and then we did the dive. But I'm constantly quantum leaping, and I'm doing it fast, and I'm going through another quantum leap right now. And I'm seeing synchronicities and there's spirit and there's angels and all these different things. But the thing is, when I was in that I want to die, the interesting thing is when my husband reflected that back to me, because he's an emotional authority and I'm a non-emotional authority, so I can feel his things turned up. So I'm feeling all the stuff, he's feeling it. And then so I went, oh, you poor baby, we'll book you in at the doctor's. And I actually completely stood out of myself and went into this whole, I have to help him. And I ignored myself. And so when we do that and we go into saving mode or anything like that, then we are missing the point of coming back to ourselves, because if you're going to be the rock, if you're going to be the roots, you have to come in and make sure that that foundation is so strong. If my husband, I say this all the time, if him and I did not work, I would still will have chosen myself. Because with no judgment, that commitment, I commit to myself, I commit to my living, I commit to consciousness, and I commit to being, living my mission here on purpose. And that means I choose me first and foremost. I will never give up myself or anybody else. And when I made that decision, everything landed. My husband, he rose and he walks around singing. And this is, we've suffered massive amounts of depression. We've been together from 16 and 17. Our families were like breaking up and there was drama. We didn't know anything from a psychology point of view. We didn't know how to have a relationship that was solid.
You didn't have it modeled to you. You didn't have that from the get-go.
But we're still deconditioning.
Of course we are. We go through our entire lives. It's not a one and done kind of thing. And that's the beautiful thing about the personal development world, I think. Like, it's just, you work on yourself and the external stuff will fall into place. But actually, when you're working on yourself and you're fulfilled within yourself and you like the person that you are, that's actually all that matters. That is the answer to thriving. Like, that's it.
And it's so much fucking fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I love being happy. And I tell you what, like, and I'm sure you agree with this, like, as coaches that are actually making money, actually that 1% of people who we've gone, no, we're going to get this. It's coming with unshakable faith that I believe that all my dreams are happening, and it's happening right now. And it gets really exciting when we're in the bath, like swimming away going, it's happening. And the money is going to that going, ding, ding, ding.
That's it.
So it's my visuals. But as this is happening, it's really important to know that you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep growing. You just have to keep feeling that faith and just don't ever give up.
I think there's two main parts to that, and I want to just like hone back in on them, because people miss one or the other. Is that, yes, it's action, but it's faith-filled action. There is no point taking any action if you don't believe that action is going to create what you want it to create. 0 point.
Exactly. Perfect.
Which is why most people are they're not getting what they want. It's why most coaches don't succeed. It's why most businesses don't succeed, is that because they don't want the outcome, which sounds weird to say it, right? Because of course you think, oh yeah, I want the money, I want this fame, I want the success, but your conditioning is getting in the way, because your conditioning has taught you it's not safe, it's not possible, it's going to be too hard, it's going to be blah, blah, blah.
Don't be a show off.
Don't be a show off. Don't. In Australia and New Zealand, we have tall poppy syndrome. There's all these things that get in the way of it. So we have to be really open to looking at what is the conditioning that's going to get in the way of me actually achieving that. Like, you actually can't ignore this. Like, it's not a choice. You cannot.
No, you can't. And money is not the thing. That's what I wanted to say before I went onto my tangent. I started like disappearing. I was like, okay, I've totally disappeared with my point. But the point I wanted to say, thank you for reminding me, is it's about the joy. It's about the fun. It's about being magnetic. The money's the thing. Like, I say, when we're in the bath doing our mermaid thing and the money's coming, it's because we're having so much fun in the bath. It is never about the money. And when you've got your messaging, like for me, when I had my messaging about money, about I was wonky, and I knew that I was there to help people, but the money is not the driving force for me. And every time I feel like, oh, I'm going to scarcity, I need some money, I need to pay the mortgage because my wage is what pays for the things. I know I'm out of alignment, because all I care about is making a difference. It's all I've ever cared about my whole entire life. And for those people that are listening to this that are going, I'm in scarcity, I need money, I need money, I want money. Want means lack in the old dictionary. You say, I want money. You're saying, I lack money.
Yeah.
So start being money and going, what would make me just so damn happy today?
Yeah.
And if you go do that, then you're inviting more money in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the precursor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people think that people with money, especially coaches, they think, oh, there's something wrong there. It's kind of like they're on this, Luke, my husband, used to say, it's like Amway. It's like a MLM for coaches because you're always up leveling. And then it wasn't until he was realizing that I was actually making money because I was having coaches and doing the deconditioning. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That I started making money. So he's like, oh my God, this stuff works. So anyone who's listening, who's like thinking that we are all strategy and structure and bringing in money because we're money driven, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, totally. And I've gone through so many iterations of this in my head. Like part of it is like, actually, because I have a defined ego. So I've had to make friends with my materialism because I actually have that gate. Like I have that gate that says like, I want the materialistic.
What is that
things.
gate?
I can't think of it off the top of my head. It connects to the emotional center.
Yeah.
So I've had to make friends with that. I had to like overcome that, like, oh my God, people are going to judge me for like having the things, having the money, blah, 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 blah. And that has been like, that's actually been my journey so far in the last sort of 6 weeks or so, is like getting to a new level of being okay with that, because my next level is fully materialistic. Like if you look at the goals, like I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm not wanting them because I want the things. I want the goal because of how many people I'm going to be helping along the way. But I have to be friends with the fact that that's going to get me like luxury in all of areas of my life, and know that I'm going to be okay with that. So it's like having this balance in your head of like, yeah, I want the money. Yeah, I want the luxury lifestyle. Yeah, I want all the things, but it's not why I want to go to the next level. Why I want to go to the next level is actually just about me fulfilling my greatest purpose, which to me is making sure that everyone wakes up on a Monday morning fucking stoked for their lives.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So like, I think it's important to balance both, but know that just going after the money is not really going to help you.
Well, it's not going to make you the money. Like, I mean, of course, if you're going to be like a lawyer or, if you're going to be in an industry that's high paying and yada, 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 then you're going to make money that way. But for a projector, for us who we want to work 5 hours max a day, like max. And having, like 20K months or so, like we have to really dive into that design. And I just find it's actually fascinating. I've got the gate or the line that is the fear. So it goes from the fear to that throat. So I've got a defined throat and a defined heart, or whatever the yellow one is in the middle.
Yeah.
And the one to the left, that's defined. So I've only got the 3. And that is connected to that heart. So I feel that fear anyway, and I do it. And I show up because making a difference to the people and realizing I can see, so can you, because we're projectors, we can see this vision and we can see people and their gifts, and we see the magic in it. And because I can see it so damn clearly, nothing can stop me. So I'm always yelling at people going, you're amazing. Like,
I think that's been one of the most fun things that I have loved about recognizing like my uniqueness in human design, because I thought everyone could see that.
Me too. They cannot see it. I'm like, can you not see your gifts? And they're like,
they cannot. No. But that's also one of the things that, like, really funnily enough, as projectors, we see that in other people, but we can't see ourselves as clearly. So that's part of our deconditioning, to recognize our gifts, because that is actually what makes us as projectors magnetic, is when we recognize ourselves. Did you know that?
Yeah. I like that. I don't think I know that. I just know that I can't see myself very well. I used to explain to my friends as when I was a little girl, because I'm very vocal, I would say, I feel like I should be up here I'm watching everybody.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was on a TV program because I was watching everything, but I couldn't see myself. And I'd say, like, do you feel like it's weird that you're here? And like, I really resonate with star seeds, and I do light language and stuff. So light beings and stuff is a big thing for me. And people would go, we don't know what you're talking about. And I'd be like, Mom, you need to take me to the doctor. I'm really fucking weird. There's something wrong with me. And she was worried about me because I was so different.
Yeah.
I was really shy too. Really super duper shy.
Yeah, right.
And it's really probably because I was the first child. But yeah, it's just mind-blowing. So basically, would you agree with me when I say, you know, for anyone who's going, okay, guys, thanks for all that information. What do I do with it now? To look at your energy type. Yeah. Look at what you are out of those 5 designs. Like, look at the energy type. And then, like, I know there's channels. I know there's your personality profile. I know that there's gates, all these stuff. Much. But coming into that energy type and looking at the strategy, looking at the non-self theme. So if you start feeling bitter, which is a projected thing, or frustrated, like the managing or the generator, know that, okay, I require to recalibrate right now. I need to recalibrate and come back to me and adjust and do whatever's required because I'm feeling like I am not in alignment, and then coming back into yourself. And that's where we can start and looking at what really lights you up.
Totally. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't like have a relationship with human design already, the best place to start is with your strategy and your authority. So your strategy comes from your energy type. So each of the 5 types has a different strategy. And then your authority, which is what you and I were just talking about before, is like emotional or any of the others. So like emotional, sacral, splenic, blah, 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 blah. There's a few of them. So learning, and that's how you're making decisions. So that's how you go about making decisions about what to do next or whether something is right for you. If you can nail down those 2 things, then they say that everything else will fall into place.
And just to, I just want to add a little bit there as well, because I was really confused when I heard about splenic. Your splenic authority, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So just to kind of let you know, like emotional authority, like every one of those authorities, there's a different way that you react. Like, for instance, I'm splenic, which means that I get these hits when I have an idea. Like when I asked you for this interview, I was like, hey, Carly, I've just had this idea, like right now, like not yesterday, or I haven't been thinking about it for a week. And this is something I realized I was different to other people because I was like, no, I've just had this idea now, because people think, oh, I wonder how long she's been sitting there thinking about that. I'm like, I haven't. I just know that it's what I want to do, and I want to do it now. So can you please book in a time? And people go, okay. So I'm splenic. I know that with the sacral, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you get a hit and then you wait. So you get a yes or a no, and then do you wait a little bit to see if you get that again? No.
So it really depends. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because you can, so sacral authority, if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, you will either be an emotional authority or you'll be a sacral authority. It has to be one of those 2. So if you are an emotional authority, sacral, like generator or manifesting generator, it's your job to, yes, you still use your gut for decisions. So you still figure out if something is a hell yes, if your body says yes to it or if your body says no to it. But you have to make sure, if you're an emotional, that you are in a place where you're very like cool, you're calm, you're collected, you're pretty even, because if you're emotional, you're going to have a natural emotional wave. So depending on your chart, we've all got different waves. But for example, mine is what's called a build-up wave. And so every 3 weeks or so, I get to a crescendo, and I have to have a cry, I have to have a release, I have to go for a run, and I have to just like sort of like express that emotion. And if I were to make a decision at that particular point in time, it wouldn't necessarily be right for me. And so, but I'm not a sacral, so it's slightly different. So if you have that sacral authority as well, then you just have to make sure that you wait until you are cool, calm, collected before you ask your gut if that's going to be right for you or not. Does that make sense? Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the emotional wave as well. So if you do have a defined emotional center, you know, you do go through these waves. I've got a friend currently on a wave, and she's just like, ooh. And my husband, I used to go, oh my God, what is wrong with him? He goes, I go, oh, he's doing that thing again. This is before human design, but he's doing that thing, and he would glaze over, he would have anxiety, he would start freaking out, he would start going, and I was like, what has happened to my lovely, calm, beautiful crew? He's really cruisy. We're the opposites.
Yeah.
And he would just be going through this giant wave. And I actually thought it was like a depression thing that is in the DNA and stuff. But this is where I want you guys, and I want to tell the world that we have these natural waves.
Yeah.
And if you're non-defined in the emotion, you can feel other people's things. So I would feel his turned up, and I'd be like, oh, I'm feeling like there's so much intensity right now. Yeah. And it's not my own emotion. So if you are like that and you've got this kind of non-defined emotional center, you really want to be able to say, you know, who does this belong to? Return to center with consciousness. Yeah. So then it can actually be this beautiful reflection back to that person. That's how my husband and I, going back to relationships, how we help each other out, is we reflect on each other.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And being an emotional and having a husband who is non-emotional, one of the things that I've had to ask him to do is, when I'm in that place, to just be there for me, to validate, to be there, because and I also have obviously got to validate myself for being in that place, not make it mean anything, which is really important, because I find that my anxiety will increase if I resist that emotional wave. If I'm like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, or I have to attribute it to something, or I'm doing something wrong, that resistance to it in itself like just causes way more anxiety. So I just have to be like, oh my God, I'm out for the next day. Like I just need to kind of crash. It's kind of like having PMS. Like you just need a little bit of time to just decompress for yourself. So
allow yourself the time, like you said, I'm out for the day. Allow yourself to go, I'm not working today. I know one girl, projector, emotional authority as well, and she literally, she said, I've just taken 3 days off work and I'm going to bed. And I said, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And she's just like, because that's a big deal for her. And it doesn't make sense in this reality. Take the time off, come back to yourself, and learn an easier way where you don't have to be wiped out for 3 days.
Totally. And I love the deconditioning that goes on underneath that surface, that it's like, it's safe, it's okay for me to do nothing, and I'm still worthy, I'm still capable, I'm still amazing. Like, because no matter what energy type we are, we will be conditioned that you have to do. You've got to do stuff all the time. You need to be on. And any chance I have to either help myself or a client recognize that it's not the doing that makes you worthy is just such a gift.
Can I just ask you one more question?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel guilty? So this is something that I've deconditioned in the last year. Yeah. So did you ever feel guilty for not being able to keep up with the generators and mani-gens and the manifestors and all the other types but projectors? Did you ever feel guilt with your friends and family, or get given a little bit of slack, like as in like, hey, you know, you Nana, why do you feel like you've got to go to bed? Or like,
right. Yeah.
I used to drink a lot of alcohol, smoke, and drink a whole lot of coffee just to get through my day as a hairdresser. And then if I was going out, it would be like tequila to stay awake.
Interesting. So guilt wasn't the emotion that I felt, but so I used to work as a behavior consultant. So I used to work with like in schools with kids with autism and behavioral difficulties and things like that. So really stressful job, and we had a big team, and that job is very much go. It's all about the other person. It's all about your client all the time. You're going from one client to the next. You're in a school setting. You're like all the time you're going. And I burnt out over and over and over and over and over again, to the point that I was writing my master's thesis, and I was like, what am I going to write this on? I'm going to write it on burnout, because I have to figure out why this is happening, because I could see that it was happening to me, but not other people. And like, there were obviously a few select people in my teams as well it would happen to them as well. And I was like, what is this? And so, it wasn't guilt. It was just like, am I not strong enough? Is there something wrong with me that I'm not able to keep up with everyone else?
Chronic fatigue or
celiac. Yep. To the point that like I burned myself out so badly that I had like a nervous breakdown, went to the doctor, diagnosed with anxiety disorder, like had to go through therapy, like And then after I discovered human design, I was like, oh my God, that's what it is. It's actually just that I can't keep up so much, and I'm not supposed to be in there doing the work all the time.
Isn't this mirror just like hilarious? Like we've both hit burnout.
So
we've both had nervous breakdowns.
Yeah.
And I noticed that with my projector clients, one of them I love, she's been with me for about a year. She does all my things, my programs, and she said, you know, she's emotional. So she first would come on and she would cry, and then feel so bad for crying. And I was like, don't feel bad, just cry if you want to cry. Yeah. And then now she barely cries online when we're doing our calls and stuff. But she's very much like, you know, she had like, I feel like I've got chronic fatigue and there's stuff's going on my body and this is going on, this is going on. I said, hey, let's just stop for a second. What if you found a way to work less, come back into yourself, and what if this wasn't a chronic fatigue at all? What if this was just you requiring to come back into your projected power and actually rest when required? And she's shifting and her body's shifting. It's all shifting now. So these diagnoses, it's
that's really, really cool. And like as you're talking, I'm also just thinking about the fact like there are a few different types of projectors as well. Like I'm actually what's known as an energy projector because I have every center defined except for my sacral.
Really?
So I've got massive definition. So I have to be so I have the root center defined, and that gives me that pressure to like work quite hard. But I'm forever in this balance of like know where your limit is, pull back. It's okay. That's enough. You're done now. Like, and I have to just make sure that I've got that. So everyone is so different. So it's not just like if you're a projector, then you have to do it this way. It's like actually you do need to know the nuances of your chart because they do interact differently with one another.
I'm a classic. So I'm like, I don't hold quite as much energy as an energy projector. And I know that. Like yesterday I had to go to bed because I was up at 3:30 in the morning to do a breathwork session, and then I went for a walk, and then I had a bath, and I did all this stuff like before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Too much.
It was too much. And I went to the movies with the kids and all these different things. I did a little bit of work. I did a podcast all before 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I went and had a little sleep for an hour. Then I had a client who's also a projector, and I'm a little bit tired today, and that's because I did too much, and I'm going to need to nap this afternoon and have I'll do probably an hour's work after this. And then I'm going to have the entire weekend off, and I'm going to be very mermaidy. So I'm going to be very beachy and bathy. And my husband, going back to relationships again, he knows now that I'm not being lazy. I'm being what is required. And I don't know about you, but I used to feel, because I felt the guilt.
I know
so
what you're going to
as soon as my husband walks in the door, I'd be stand up and go,
I know.
I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I'm not lazy. I've just done so fucking much because I've been running around, and he's just looking at me like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah, so 100% my experience. And it's still, the thought still triggers sometimes. I'm like, no, Matt doesn't give a shit how much you do every day. Like,
they don't actually care. But I've gone to the extreme now. Like my husband, like you saw him bring me in a coffee before, and I'll have a bath, and he'll bring me a drink, and he'll sit there and talk to me in the bath. He'll cook dinner. He'll do the dishes. If I've got the energy, I'll fold up. Like I literally am living. So I don't think it's going to take me 7 years. I think it's going to take me like 7 months because I am doing things to the extreme. I think that 3-5 as well. I'm very, very direct focused on what I want, and I will get it. But always have to recalibrate, reassess, readjust.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's it. I know, because my husband's a manifestor too, so he's not an energy type either, but he does have more of that ability to kind of like work in short, sharp bursts. But we just had to sit down and figure out like what are the things around the house that we have no desire to do that we really would just want to take off our plate. So like we have a cleaner, we're about to outsource our laundry. Like it's just so good. Give yourself the permission to be like, actually, why am I doing all of these things? No.
That's a really, really good point that you brought up. Outsourcing your life. If it is required, we had a cleaner for quite a while, but now that my husband, he has that burning long energy like a generator has, where I don't, he will literally, he'll get up and he'll work on the computer for a certain amount of time, where I'm on the computer. I don't even like being around the computer too much. At a couple of hours I'm done, otherwise I'm like fatigued
too much.
It's way too much stimulants, and he can work on the computer at 10 o'clock at night. He can do the washing, he can do all these things. But when he was working full time,
couldn't.
He was like, how the hell are you doing all that? And I said, I told you, it was exhausting. So I will get a cleaner in if it's required. I will outsource anything. I have a VA that works for me. I do the bare minimum. I'm better off to have a team that I manage.
Yeah.
Trying to do all the things myself.
100%.
I actually can't. I can't do it.
Definitely. That's what I've been saying for the last 6 months. It's like outsource, delegate, do as little as possible. So yeah, my team has just grown by 2 people this year just in my business. Yeah, because I'm like, no interest in doing that. I'm now working like maximum 18 hours a week. So good.
How does it feel?
Oh my God, it's actually amazing. But it's like, and this is why I think the deconditioning does take time, because as you reach a new level, there's a whole lot of other stuff to decondition as well. And you're like, okay, now I've got to work on it from this level. Okay, now I've got to work on it from this level. But if we're not growing, we stay stagnant in the same lessons. We'll just get the same lessons over and over and over again.
I think that's when getting a coach can help though, right? Like 100%. Can help you quantum leap. I don't think I'd be like, I've worked with Donna Lesser and Vanessa Hellick over the last year. And I had my first 6-figure year and I paid a lot of money on coaching. I'm not going to lie. I paid like 10K for like 10K New Zealand for 8 weeks at one stage, but I just knew I had to, and I don't know how I got that money, but it happened. And what I found was by being in the vortex of other people that are where you want to be, you can project yourself there quicker. And but I think you do still have to do that actionable work, like you said before.
Yeah, 100%. No coach can be responsible for your outcomes, and I see this clear as day and night with the clients of mine who make it, and the clients of mine who drag their heels is the ones who take responsibility and are like we said earlier, like, I want this, like this is an absolute non-negotiable that I must have this, like this has to be my experience, it has to be my life, and I have to go after it, because some people just don't want it at the same level.
How do you deal with that? Can I ask you how you deal with that? Sorry, I know we've gone over time, but I just want to ask you this last question. Then we have to jump out of each other's auras. So how do you deal with that as a coach? Because I'm fairly new and, as a business coach and stuff. But what I find is I can see so clearly for what people to do. And I don't desire anymore to mollycoddle people because I took so much responsibility for people to the extent where it's exhausting for me. So how do you deal with it when people are saying, but I want this, but I want this, but I want this, but that they don't on an unconscious level? How do you deal with it?
So there's a couple of big things here, and this is really important for any coaches who are listening as well. If you have a history of being codependent, if you have a history of people pleasing, like being the hero, like wanting to take care of other people, you as the coach need to take care of that. Because if you get a kick out of your clients needing you, you will subconsciously stall their progress. People aren't going to like that I'm saying this. Stall their progress so that they still need you.
That's I've been doing that. Like, that's what Vanessa actually picked up on me. She goes, where are you wanting these people to want you so much that you're not letting them grow? And I go, I'm letting them grow. And she was like, no, this is a subconscious thing. And I had I'm just using me as a reference because I think this may resonate with some people, but one of the things that I was doing and my biggest fear, so the shadow that came up with this deconditioning was I was so afraid of people leaving me over and over. And I don't know where that comes from, but so afraid of people leaving me and being left alone and being left alone. And the craziest thing that happened, and this is going deep, and this is what the deconditioning process is. When I did the breathwork session the other day, I went all the way back to being a baby in a cot and I was screaming and crying. My mum is in the other room pulling her hair out. She's alone. She doesn't have a family around her. My dad's out doing whatever he's doing. I'm colicky. I had no snuggly. Like I didn't have a little snuggly. Like my mum never wanted me to have one. And being a projector and having all my open centers, all I wanted to do was help her, but I couldn't. So I felt her loneliness and I've carried that my entire life. And I know that's really, really deep. That's because I like to go deep with myself. But where are we being codependent because this stuff was implanted even before we were 2 years old.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
Totally.
I actually love that you brought that up, because this codependency of not growing. And I said to Vanessa, I desire for people to outgrow me hard and fast and make the money.
That's it.
But then I help all these people grow and off they go. And then I'm like, they're going.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hang on, why are you attaching? So I started carrying all the people around me and never letting them go. Like, I mean, they're all they go, but energetically, I was actually dragging myself down because I was holding everyone I've ever worked with, because they paid me $1 or $10,000 in one container, and constantly tapping in unconsciously.
Gotta let them go. You've got to let them go. Yeah, so that's one part of it. It's like doing your own stuff, understanding that your source of self-worth cannot be external to you. It has to be internal. And that's a journey. Like, that's not going to happen overnight. I'm still working on it myself. And then the other part of it is learning that holding a higher standard for your clients is actually love. If you truly want the best for them, then it's your job to hold up a mirror and let them know where potentially they aren't giving themselves the best shot.
Or taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility. And for all sorts of different clients, this could look really different. Some people do need that harder line of like actually getting feedback. Some people need that softer line. Obviously, we're going to need to calibrate with our clients to know what they're going to need. And then practically, the other piece is, for me, what I've done is actually just put my prices up. I'm not interested. This can sound a little bit triggering potentially to some people who aren't at this level yet, but I'm not interested in working with people who won't take responsibility. And when you've got skin in the game, i.e. money, you take more responsibility.
Yeah. You know, I resonate with all of that. And the thing is, the reason why I resonate with it, because I'm on the codependent, I'm presuming you are too, because we are resonating. And anyone who's listening to this is 99% going to be a codependent because they're listening to it. I've had a couple of people on the narc side come in and want to work with me and have conversations, and then they haven't resonated, and then I've realized it's because they're narc. And not it's not a wrongness. It's just that they don't understand the codependency, and because I am, it means that it's that resonating. And that also holding people to that higher standard as well, whether it's in business or not, at the end of the day is love, like you said. And for me, I don't want to put that hard kind of BS, like I'm calling up your BS, you're not showing up because you don't really want to show up. I don't say that because I don't want to hurt their feelings or leave them behind, because I want, but I'm not here for small things. So therefore, this is where we're going to put our big girl pants on.
Yeah. But if you don't say it to them, you are leaving them behind, right? Because you're not giving them the opportunity to step into their higher self.
So everything, my friends, if you want to understand the whole overall of this whole thing, is everything is the opposite of what you ever think it is. Do the opposite. Don't go from the external, come to the internal. You know, the being the most unselfish person you can be is by being the selfish person you can be. Do you first. If you want to be the best mother, the best lover, the best business owner, you want abundance and money and joy, do you find your joy and trust and have faith and take the actionable steps that are aligned to your design.
So perfectly said. Wrapped up with a nice little bow on it.
Yes. I want to thank you because this has been fucking divine. I have enjoyed every second of this.
Me too.
I know that all of our audiences are going to love this. And if you guys do want to go deeper, like take some responsibility and go do your own research. Also, if you want to check out Carly, we'll make sure that's available for you. So you can go check out all of her incredible content. What I love about being a coach, like you and I, very similar in a lot of respects, is that we give out so much free stuff. There's no excuses for people in this day and age not to grow because they don't have the money or they don't have this. It's like showing up and turning up. You can always have a different level of intimacy with us. So you can go, there's free podcasts and free, all of the things on your LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but the the link
Instagram and Facebook.
All of the socials. And same with mine. I have free programs. I've got free everything. Plus there's that high level coaching so you can decondition fast and actually live your life on purpose.
Yep.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. It's so funny that you mentioned that too. I'll just like add this little bit right at the end, because did you ever used to be afraid like that you were giving away too much?
To be completely honest with you, I think I have given away too much my entire life, but that was more out of that codependency worthiness. I know exactly what you're getting at, because I remember Donna saying to me, give everything away. And I go, but then there'll be nothing left for the program that I'm going to create in the future. But it's not real, because the different levels of intimacy means I know that if I have one-to-one coaching with you, you're going to dive deep into my psyche, where if you're going to have the kind of the mini program that was free, it's that self thing. So you can't go as deep, but at the same level, you can get shifts. So it depends on where people are at in their life. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
Yeah, totally. And like, I used to be like, oh my God, how am I going to know what the thing is to say that people are going to want to work with me? Which is just so completely exhausting and not a very good marketing strategy at all. And obviously you would do this the same, is just show up and intuitively share what you feel like someone needs to hear at that point in time. And that's it. Like, it really doesn't need to be that complicated.
But it's the showing up. It's that deconditioning. The deconditioning and knowing yourself. That's what really attracted me to Vanessa was I was like, she's got something. What is it? And I was really, really intrigued. And she shows up every day. What I loved about Donna, and I love things about every coach, of course, but what I love about Donna was she would call you up on your BS and say, honey, you don't think you've got any inner work to do? Go and journal now and get really angry. I'm like, excuse me? I don't want to do that. She's like, go do it. And I went and I'm like, I'm a mess. And then I was like, I think I just up-leveled. Oh my God. That's what a coach does. They hold you. They hold you and they say, and I know it's not in New Zealand, it's kind of still new getting coaches.
So new.
Yeah. But the thing is, people hold you and go, you got this, and I'm going to keep you at this higher standard. So every time you drop, I'm going to go, no. I see you and your magnificence. Step forward and shine. And every time they try to run, you can go, okay, you can run if you like, but I'm over here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, just to add to that is, like, not every coach will do that. You need to be aware that not every coach has the training, the understanding, the capacity to hold you where you need to be held, which is why you need to be really aware of actually going with the coach that your gut tells you to go with, that your intuition tells you to go with, that feels really good to you. Don't just go and work with the coach who has the good marketing, because you can be a great marketer and a terrible coach, which is unfortunately what has happened in the industry. So make sure you use your intuition with who you decide to go with, and because that's always going to lead you down the right pathway.
And coaches are still learning. My last launch was my biggest launch. I got the exact amount of people because I'm a specific manifester. One thing we didn't mention here, the specific or non-specific, depending on the arrows and stuff. And I'm specific, but I'm a messy specific, which is hilarious. So confusing. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this launch my way. It's magnificent mediumship. And I said to people, this is next level. I can't tell you exactly what's in it because I know that it's all coming as we do it. But this is next level. And they go, we're in. And I said to people, I don't want you in because I'm not here to convince you where my launch before that. I was using a structure and strategy and using the money thing, which I felt a little bit unaligned with. But I knew it was still right. There was still some truth in there because I was here to make a big difference. But it felt a little bit wonky compared to I'm doing mediumship. It's going to be so much fun. Come if you want.
Well, that's you living your projector strategy of like, recognize yourself, have a fucking great party being you, know that whatever you're creating is going to be bloody epic and people will be drawn to that. That's when you get the invitations. Like that's the thing with projectors, is they're like, oh my God, how am I going to get all the invitations? Like, what am I going to do? Fucking love yourself and the invitations will flow to you.
I'm not going to lie. Once I did, I realized I was a projector. And then I was like, okay, I've been functioning as a manager forever, meaning I'm a creator and a connector and a reacher. But I was always getting rejected when I would put myself out. You should come and do this. I'm like, why am I getting rejected? Because it was repulsive. But now people come to me And I was like, I want to be a millionaire coach and reach millions of people. How am I going to do that if I've got to wait for these invitations? But now I realize that just what you said, be happy, come into yourself if you're a projector and know. But if you're a mani-gen and a manifest, I just want to add in, don't be afraid of being cheeky and sexy and actually going out. And like Vanessa messaged me this morning and said, hey, girlfriend, we need to talk, da, da, da. And I was like, I love that she did that, but I can't do that.
No, totally not. Totally not.
What are you up to?
What are you doing? Oh, projectors can do it to other projectors though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally. Because otherwise we're both going to be waiting for the invitation.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And the reason why like it's repellent for us to do it to other people is because we have that penetrating aura and it scares people off. But because as projectors we're used to that experience, we know what that's like. We're actually quite happy for other projector to do it to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have this thing where I ask people things and I do get the sense that people are scared of me. Yeah. And that's why I'm blonde and not dark, because I've got that kind of witchy vibe as well. I can look really witchy with my sharp features and stuff, and people think I've got resting bitch face. It's quite funny. So I'm always like, why are people afraid of me? I'm not that scary, because I do call up BS, but I do have a soft, mothery kind of nature to me as well. So it's kind of testing things and stuff as well, isn't it?
It really is. And whatever test you do it with the intention that you are just going to find more of yourself to love. That's it.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm going to let you go so you can go and get on with your day.
My pleasure.
So beautiful talking to you. And if anyone wants to hear more, go check out Carly and go check out all the free content. If you're interested in working with her, then check her out.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Victoria.
Bye. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining the Release Your Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a review and tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. There is so much more from where this came from. You can also find me at Holistic Energy Shifting on Facebook, where you can find more content, more coaching, and more guidance. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'll see you next time.